We lived across the street from a graveyard where I learned how to ride bike and took many strolls in, so living there never really scared me. I was always a curious kid and really liked to explore the graveyard and look at the tombstones to see if I could find one older than the other. Sometimes in the middle of the night, I would explore the house, looking through closets, cabinets, doors, and the attic until one day I decided to look through the basement. I walked down the stairs at just after midnight on a Tuesday. My parents sound asleep in their room. Like I said before, I was a curious kid and liked going through things just to see what I could find. I never took anything, just looked and put whatever it was back in its place. As I got to the bottom of the stairs, I looked around at everything down there. Our basement looked almost like a dungeon. Dirt floor, cold stone walls that were built in the late 1800s, early 1900s. I had never really gone down there for anything before because I knew what it looked like. It made me feel a little uneasy being down there, but I was determined to explore and see what I could find. I noticed my dad had some exercise equipment down there in a corner of the basement. On the other side there were boxes that had who knows what inside. So naturally that's where I went. I started moving the boxes around, opening each one as I moved it to see what was inside. There were a lot of boxes, but I looked at them and moved them with purpose, knowing I had to put them back into place so no one knew I was down there, moving stuff around. As I got to the last box, I noticed what looked like a manhole cover to a sewer on the basement floor. I thought to myself, why is there a manhole cover in the basement? Shouldn't that be outside on street level? Now remember that I said I was curious. My curiosity got the best of me, and I instantly wanted to know what it was doing there in my basement and what was inside. Thankfully, my dad had tools down there, and I so happened to find a nice big crowbar that would do the job of taking the cover off the floor. I grabbed the crowbar, and with my small, skinny arms and all my might, I pried the cover off the floor. It was heavy and made of thick steel, but I got it off. I couldn't see anything when I looked inside. I was pitch black in there, so I went to my dad's tools looking for a flashlight when I heard something come from the hole in the floor. It sounded like a moan. All of the hairs on my body stood up at once, and I stood paralyzed in front of my dad's toolbox. I looked back at the hole, but saw nothing. I grabbed the flashlight, walked over to the hole, turned the flashlight on, and shined it inside of the hole. There was a ladder that led to a dirt floor underneath my basement, and what looked like a tunnel that led in the direction of the graveyard. I was stunned at what I had found, and my curiosity grew more intense. I went back to my dad's toolbox to see if I could find a knife or something that would aid as a weapon just in case. Not once did I think, stay out of the damn hole. So down I went with the flashlight in one hand and a screwdriver in the other. The tunnel looked like it was miles long. Not even my dad's flashlight could illuminate the end of it, so I started walking. It was quiet. All I could hear was the sound of my heavy breathing and my footsteps. Nothing else. I had been walking for about 5 minutes, but it seemed like an eternity. I heard footsteps behind me, so I turned around as fast as I could and shinned the flashlight in the direction that I had heard the sound come from, but there was nothing there. I did a complete 360 and saw nothing around me, but dirt walls. I kept pressing forward trying to figure out where this tunnel led to. As I kept walking, I tripped over something I hadn't seen. I went face first into the dirt, half mad and half embarrassed at myself for not paying better attention. I started to get up slowly with one knee on the floor when I heard heavy breathing that wasn't my own. I looked up while I was kneeling on the floor, and that's when I saw it. A humanoid-looking creature on all fours right in front of me. It looked like something straight out your nightmares. Pale, hairless, almost wet-looking skin. It had a mouth, a very flat nose with slits instead of holes, but no eyes, yet I felt like it was looking right at my soul. It had hands and feet, but its legs were bent backwards like a dog, and where your forearm would be, it looked like it had an extra joint. I held my breath for what seemed forever trying to think of my next move. Should I drive the screwdriver into its forehead, or should I make a run for it? I was running out of options fast because I had no idea what its intentions were, or what it was going to do. I decided to run back to my basement. As fast as my legs could take me, I got up and ran. I ran faster than I have ever run in my life without looking back. I could hear it running behind me, getting closer with each second. It also made that moaning sound I had heard earlier. Now at least I knew what it was that made that sound, and it terrified me even more. I ran, and I cried at the same time. Who knows what that thing would have done to me if I slowed down even a little bit. I could see the light from the basement that came through the hole, exposing the ladder in the distance. It almost felt like the faster I ran, the further away the ladder was. But I made it. I got up the ladder as fast as I could, and as I got out of the hole and into the basement, my dad happened to be standing there waiting for me with the manhole cover in hand. My dad was a pretty big guy, so it didn't surprise me when I saw him fling the cover over the hole, covering it as soon as I got out of there. He grabbed me and pulled me up the stairs and into the kitchen, then went back downstairs and moved all the boxes back to their original place. When he came back up, I could tell by his facial expression that he was furious with me, but he didn't yell at me or anything of that sort. He looked at me dead in the eyes and said, "Don't ever open that manhole cover again." I haven't been to the basement since that night, but every now and then I can still hear that moaning sound that is now etched into my brain.
If you enjoyed this story, please give a like and subscribe for more haunting stories. And remember, you never know what might be standing behind you watching your every move.